It's actually changed quite a bit over the last couple of years. What we've realized as an agency is that we can be a lot more accurate with a 7-day forecast if we combine about 200 weather models together. So what we do now in our process is that we're combining and blending about 200 different weather models together, and then it comes out with one single output, which is a deterministic output, but we can also develop probabilities from all those. We try to forecast where we think the severe weather is going to occur, and so we put different categories in different areas to give our partners an understanding of where we think the most intense thunderstorms are going to occur and where the most frequent thunderstorms are going to occur. And that's going to be on a 1 to 5 scale. Basically, a marginal risk would be like a number 1, and then a high risk would be a 5, and then you've got some categories in between that kind of describes those areas as well. As you see here, we've got a very large enhanced risk here, this orange shaded area, essentially from central Texas up through about the northern 60% of Louisiana, Arkansas, and then into Mississippi. So this orange shaded area, which is an enhanced risk, this is where we would expect at this time the more frequent thunderstorms and the more intense thunderstorms in that area. As we get into the yellow areas, which is the slight risk, so that's a little bit lower risk. However, there's many times we get tornadoes with a slight risk. So that's still a pretty good risk for severe weather. And then the marginal risk would be this green area, so a little bit lower risk in those areas. Once you get into the light shaded green, those are the areas that we're not expecting severe thunderstorms. We're expecting thunderstorms, but they're supposed to be just general thunderstorms and not dangerous. So it all starts with our upper air. We are an upper air site, so we put up a balloon about 5 o'clock in the morning. We'll put up another one at 5 o'clock at night. Well, there's about 80 other National Weather Service offices that are doing that at the same time. And those balloons go all the way up, about 20 miles above the Earth's surface, and it's getting a measurement of temperature, dew point, wind speed and direction and pressure at every single level all the way up. And we send that data to Silver Springs, Maryland, the Washington, D.C. area. And those 80 other offices are doing that at the same time that we are. And all that data is combined into 7 different primitive equations that explains how the atmosphere works. And from that data, we develop those weather models. Now, each model may have different assumptions and different equations and different tweaks to it, and so they develop different outputs. There's not one single model that is perfect. But what we found out is if we develop a bunch of models and then we combine them together, you may not still have perfection, but you have a pretty good forecast. And that forecast and that blending comes together about 11:45 in the morning. So our forecasters here at this office, here in just a couple of hours, you're going to be getting that data and all that blend, and we're going to analyze that forecast, and we're going to see what type of hazards we're expecting over about the next 7 days. So we forecast out through 7 days. Every single office loads that blend, and then if we determine that human edits can improve something on that forecast, that's what we'll do. We'll go into each one of those segments of the forecast and we'll edit that forecast if we can improve it from a human standpoint. But a lot of that forecast is stayed together by that model blend. One thing that we may actually do is before those thunderstorms actually get here, they may have already developed out in Texas and they're coming this way, and maybe 2-3 hours before they get here, we may put up a special balloon. We can put up a balloon anytime we want, and we're going to capture that severe weather environment that we have. What's important about that is that it tells us if we're dealing with a tornado environment or maybe a thunderstorm environment that's just going to produce hail or wind. So that's why it's important. And then the other thing that's important is for research purposes, because that data is archived forever. So if we capture that environment and we get thunderstorms that comes in and produces these really strong tornadoes, that helps us into the future. It improves our forecast in the future, and it just gives us a little bit more knowledge of what's going to produce big tornadoes. And as we go into the future, you're going to see more probabilistic forecasts come out from the National Weather Service, which helps our partners. If we can tell an emergency management director that he's got a 60% chance of seeing some flooding in downtown Lake Charles, that means something to him. That gives him a confidence level of that actually occurring from us. So you're going to see more and more of that process as we go into the future. we're getting more accurate with our forecasts, and we're becoming a lot smarter with how we do things.